Hey, Friendos, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you really need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson, and available, of course, wherever podcasts can be found. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little notify bell next to it to make sure you always get your new Going In Raw notifications. Boy, oh boy, what a week of wrestling this has been, Larson.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, the floodgates are opening. John Moxley unloading earlier in the week.
He spit hot fire.
Yeah, now we're filming this on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
No word on if there's going to be some sort of response, blowback, backlash. Who knows? Maybe there has been at this point, but we're filming this right when things are pretty hot. And you can get on this show, Matt Chat, $20 a month on the Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson. This is my favorite show. I love looking at all these video questions.
Yeah.
And then talking about the world of wrestling. So, given that John Moxley earlier this week on Talk is Jericho came out and just straight up said, yeah, Vince is the problem. That's why WWE's creative isn't really in the state that it should be.
Yeah.
It's all in Vince.
It is.
The Raptor here has a question about Vince himself. Let's see what he has to say.
Greetings, Steven Larson. It is I, the Raptor, with another Matt Chat question because that's staying true. So John Moxley did what he had to do to the WWE, but will investors ever wake up and realize that it is Vince who has failed not only them, but wrestling? Go Raptors. That's right. Go myself.
Thank you, the Raptor.
Thank you, the
Here, I'll go
Raptor.
first. You're doing something over there. And seeing you have the arrow point to my answer, so it means you agree with my answer. And this is the only way investors will ever give a damn about Vince and what he does, is if Vince's booking decisions, behavior, whatever, costs them money. Otherwise, they could care less. WWE just signed 2 massive TV deals. I'm guessing stockholders now reaping a pretty decent windfall courtesy of dividends. And for those who bought low and haven't sold yet, at a certain point, assuming the bottom doesn't completely fall out of WWE stock, they will have a pretty nice profit should they sell their stocks. No one on the board cares, so long as they're not in danger of losing any money. Now, that's not to say that bad creative won't eventually lead to them losing money. Definitely could.
There are some things. I'll go ahead and take over from here because it's essentially the same answer. You're right. It's if they lose money. I don't think all hope is lost. I think that they can lose money. There's a lot of things we don't know about these TV contracts. There's been some speculation out there that WWE is already doing make goods on advertisements. Just anecdotally speaking, there's no actual insider info on that, and that's why there's been more advertisements on Raw that have been running. So I mean, it's possible that the networks very well expect a certain number when it comes to the ratings, and in fact, the 24/7 rule title apparently was a suggestion by USA Network, and they sent WWE a bunch of suggestions as to how to improve ratings. That's the first time we've heard of a network actively getting involved in the creative process, so they understand there's a problem. If ratings continue to decline, if WWE, if something in Saudi Arabia happens that turns into another PR disaster, and WWE is forced to pull out of that deal, that takes a big chunk of revenue out. That alone will send stock prices not falling, but they'll drop.
Yeah. And if ratings get so bad, I don't know if there are any clauses in either the TV deals that protect the networks should ratings go directly in the toilet if for some reason Raw or SmackDown Live are canceled. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know if cancellation is like...
I can't believe it.
I have no idea.
Certainly Fox would be essentially give WWE a blank check for 5 years. You know, there's got to be some baseline. We've heard the number 3 million. That's what they want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I think that things would have to get significantly worse. Although I do think that if they experienced, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how much WWE pulling out of the Saudi Arabia deal would affect if there's a lot of moving pieces. They have to satisfy, obviously, their shareholders. They have to satisfy sponsors. They have to satisfy networks. There are morality clauses all over the place, probably. I know with the company and the superstars for sure. But, if all the big money sponsors told WWE, hey, you need to pull out of that Saudi Arabia deal because we're not going to sponsor your product anymore because it's toxic, that's gonna be messed up. I don't know. I mean, at some point, it's like when you grab for so much money, you're taking a risk on a couple different fronts.
Generally, strings attached to all that money. Whereas if you don't perform to this level, oh, you want to sponsor you, but you're involved in all this messed up stuff.
That Saudi Arabia deal is a risky one. It really is.
Yes.
They're like what, they're like a year and change into it.
Yeah,
it started right after last year's Mania was the first one.
Yep,
they're super. That's like a 10-year deal.
Yep,
and things don't. They're not getting any better in Saudi Arabia. Like they're still doing stuff over there. The government. All it's going to take is just a big. Sometimes it just takes one story to just go like 8. Just completely crazy. So, it comes down to money. That's the bottom line.
Yep. Next from Joshua Martinez. Thank you, Joshua.
I'll take this one, and then you can interrupt me. What is it? Can All Elite Wrestling keep up the idea of their promotion for? Oh, yeah, sure, why not? Here's the funny thing. The funny thing is this, because at first I was like, yeah, they've set a really difficult standard to keep. And you think about it, they really haven't. They just sort of treat people like people, and they're not megalomaniacs over there. They just seem to treat their wrestlers with respect, and they focus the product on their wrestlers.
And then get the wrestlers involved in the creative development of the product.
And that doesn't really seem to be... Now, what they are going to have to... I hope that they've learned a bit of a lesson from the Pac thing, in that when you have wrestlers who have other commitments elsewhere... you got to be really careful about signing on those wrestlers if those commitments may potentially get in the way down the line. Pac was a really big deal. And the show, Double or Nothing, ended up being so amazing that nobody was sitting there saying, man, that show was really lacking in something, because it really wasn't. That being said, I would have loved to have seen Hangman Page versus Pac. I think that would have been great. So, I mean, I think there's going to be... I hope that their learning curve, I hope the lessons that they have to learn don't become... There isn't so many of them that it turns into a bit of a black eye. So far, they're on a really good road. They have some really smart people there. So I think they can... I think a
lot what you need to know is in that brief text exchange Chuck put on Twitter between himself... Trent and Cody Rhodes about their Titantron, their wall video, as AEW calls it, where in WWE, I'm sure wrestlers have no input into any of that. None. And here's Cody sending early drafts saying, hey, what are your thoughts? They offer a couple of suggestions, and they're incorporated into it. Wow, collaboration. What a thought.
Yeah.
Getting your wrestlers to invest their creative energies into your product is a huge thing. They feel like they have equity in the company at that point.
Yeah.
Whether they actually do or not, they feel like they're invested in it. So I think it's entirely possible they can keep up the idea that they're a company for wrestlers, by wrestlers. And I'll get into this more in our next question. There is one thing they need to be conscious of, and it's not to put themselves over, themselves being the elite. I know it is All Elite Wrestling. They're the cornerstones of the promotion. I'm talking the Young Bucks, Kenny, and Cody specifically. And they've avoided this perception thus far based on how they booked Double or Nothing.
Yep.
That they started this promotion to book themselves as top guys. And even the elite members who won, I didn't get the sense that they were doing it just to put themselves over. It was logical based on story. I was a bit surprised the Young Bucks won. However, when Kenny lost the main event, all right, made sense.
Yeah.
Everything has to come in balance. So as long as they're conscious of that, I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of which, Guion Halili has a question. Take it away.
What's up, friendos? This is Jacksonville's #1 Matt Chatter, Guion Halili. Back at you with another Matt Chat question for the week. And plain and simple, Double or Nothing was an amazing show. There wasn't too much wrong with it. I'm sure if I were to nitpick, or if people were to nitpick, there are some. But now that Double or Nothing is done, what pitfalls does AEW need to avoid in order to put on a competitive show to compete against WWE? Let me know your thoughts. Hope you guys had fun in Vegas. Too sweet and hearty handshake. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Guion. 2 things they need to do. First, I mentioned they can't book themselves to win too much.
Yep.
If they book themselves to win too much, then people are going to look at this as a vanity project and nothing else.
Let me interject really quick there. They need to be careful about second guessing themselves as it pertains to perception about them booking themselves.
Totally, they should not.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a catch-22 because if you book yourself to lose all the time, then people are going to be like, well, I want to see the elite do well.
I trust that they're going to put story first.
Exactly.
Like, just for example, the Young Bucks going over the Lucha Brothers. I didn't expect. But they have like a third match.
They announced the rematch coming up in a couple weeks in AAA, and if they had announced the rematch beforehand, which I don't know why they would have, then maybe my pick would have been different. But
Cody beating Dustin makes all the sense
storyline wise. Totally.
Go ahead.
In terms of the redemption of Dustin Rhodes, yes, and Jericho beating Omega makes perfect sense storyline wise. So I talked about that a little bit already. Another thing they need to be careful of is signing too many talents formerly of WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor. They don't want to have the perception. The Moxley signing makes all the sense in the world. He's a main event guy. They don't want to have the perception that they're essentially a dumping grounds for men and women who couldn't make it in WWE.
Give me a name.
Well, I think we saw him at Double or Nothing. Sean Spears. He looked great.
Yeah.
He got a great reaction. Yeah. I've always been a huge fan of him. He never really got an opportunity on the main roster. And if it's a situation where he can come in, which he's not signed full-time to All Elite right now, it's my understanding. If he can come in and they take advantage of the fact that there's a lot he did not do in WWE, give him an opportunity to showcase what he can do, then that's fine. But I don't want a situation where there's someone that used to be in WWE and they bring them in just to fill out the roster. You know, if they think there's someone that is a former WWE or Impact or Ring of Honor talent who's immensely talented but just didn't get the opportunity they think they deserved and is given an opportunity to showcase their talents and prove that they belong on that stage, hell yeah, absolutely. But if say Zack Ryder got released and they just bring him in as an extra hand, give that opportunity to someone who doesn't have the experience of WWE. Yeah. Someone from the independents.
Yep. I agree with that. I agree with all that. I'm also going to say, I'm sure they understand what their expectations might be for ratings. But man, that's a huge unknown. The last time WWE had a North American competitor on a channel that was of comparable size to USA, TNT, was literally 20. Like in terms of the media landscape, it's literally not anywhere close to what it is now. Like, it's just a completely different landscape now, and so I'm not sure what their expectations are. They seem to, with every endeavor, they seem to have tempered expectations, and then when they exceed those expectations, it's like, wow, that's great. Let's not get in over our heads with anything. This deal, by every metric, seems to be a really, really good one for them. I'm sure these TV people may know what they're doing. So, I guess as long as they continue to not put the horse before the carriage, Is that the phrase?
Cart before the horse.
Cart before the horse.
Because the cart can't.
The cart can't drive, man.
Make the horse
the
go.
horse
The
has to
horse
go
has to
in
make-
front of it.
You have to make the cart go.
That's right. So yeah,
Cart before the horse.
as long as they don't do that, then they should be fine.
Yes. Next from Philly Flexer.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is your boy Philly Flex with my Matt Chat question of the week. I was doing some thinking. I have seen how since AEW has sprouted up or whatnot, a lot of people are already saying their product is better and stuff like that in this year. But I honestly feel like it's not that their product is better. It's just different. It's actual pro wrestling, while WWE is what it is, sports entertainment. And I feel like that's kind of what people have kind of forgotten about or whatnot, that WWE is presenting something different that everybody else is trying to present. And my question to y'all is, do y'all feel like WWE needs to stop going in the sports entertainment route and go back to the pro wrestling route? I understand the PG thing, but I feel like we can find a middle ground or whatnot to where WWE can be a pro wrestling company again and not sports entertainment. I don't know. What you guys think?
Thank you, Philly Flexer.
Thank you,
Steve,
Philly
please.
Flexer. Yes. What is his question? Oh God, no! It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. He just wanted Vince. It's all pro wrestling. I'm sorry. What do they do in the middle of the ring? They pro wrestle. They wrestle professionally. It's what they do. There's no difference between pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You can maybe try to nitpick and say, oh, it's more characters and stuff. But back before they call sports entertainment, there's still silly characters and nonsense. So no, I don't think there's any. I don't care if they call it pro wrestling. I don't care if they call it sports entertainment. They're doing the same thing.
There's no distinction really in terms of what's presented on screen, but there is a distinction in how Vince wants his company to be perceived. He was trying to elevate WWE above, the stigma of pro wrestling, so he calls it sports entertainment.
Yeah, I get that.
He's trying to
I
deny
know.
what he truly is, effectively.
I think that he's trying to. That's just him trying to make a difference to people who pay the bills. And that I honestly don't even know. I don't know. I don't really care what Vince feels or thinks or whatever, because he's so weird. It's all the same thing.
Well, I think you just mentioned he's weird, and these kind of whimsical redefinitions of who and what his company is. It just speaks to his fickle nature. It's symptomatic of his mindset that he is the end all be all of sports entertainment, I guess. It's just it is meaningless, but it's also needless. Like just realize what you are, and just be what you are.
Yeah.
Why do you have to call yourself different? Because you're trying to appeal to stockholders?
Yeah. I don't really see a problem with that.
I mean, but the stigma, whatever stigma there was for being a pro wrestling fan, doesn't exist anymore.
Like they only really did that for a little while, anyways. Like,
What's that?
They only really did that for remember how you kind of weren't allowed to say pro wrestler on WWE
They really
programming?
don't say much anymore either.
Yeah, they do. I
Oh,
mean,
from time
they
to
don't
time.
say this is a pro wrestling program, but they do things like they let the Revival talk about pro. Whenever a more purist wrestler character comes along, they always say I'm a pro wrestler.
Did you see some tweet they had about somebody and they called him a sports entertainment enthusiast?
I know, man. Honestly,
The verbal gymnastics they have to go through to adhere to Vince's kind of.
So I'll give you this. Do they need to stop being a sports entertainment program? I think that the question really is, should they loosen their belt a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should they chill out a little bit?
Yes.
That's one of the problems. It's just it feels so overly corporate and so sanitized.
This corporate talk that's attached to the company when the typical pro wrestling terms work perfectly fine.
Man, I don't care about what they call it. I want good stories and good characters. That has nothing to do with what they call it.
I don't think it's going to happen while they call it sports entertainment, because Vince is still going to be in charge.
I think if Vince was gone, Triple H would call it sports entertainment too. I think they're not going to change that.
He might, but I don't know if they're just going to change it. But it's definitely not going to change at all while Vince is still there.
No, I agree with that. But yeah, that has nothing to do with the product. Vince is the problem with the product, not what it's called.
Who dubbed it sports entertainment? Vince.
Yeah, but there's a lot bigger problems than that, man.
Vince is the problem. Next, Christopher Rampersad.
Hello, Stephen Larson. So my question is, do you think they will ever drop this wildcard finals things? I'm finding it very boring and very annoyed, especially with Monday night. Seeing Dolph coming, it felt like a recap of SmackDown on Raw, and then Roman just coming for a cameo to stick in and say, hey, I'm here. Do you think they'll just end this wildcard final? I feel like it's going nowhere and nothing's as motivating, creative, or nothing. Or what ways would you find to make it fun?
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Christopher.
Will they drop the wild card rule? Only when they drop the brand split.
You think so?
Yeah, there are indications that now that they got their two main roster programs with two different networks, both those networks want access to the same talent. Therefore, they got to appease the networks for the next 5 years. Why they didn't see this coming, I don't know. So long as both networks want Roman Reigns on their program, they're going to have some sort of either hard or soft elimination of the brand split. Right now, we got a soft one with this wild card rule, where there's 4 people apparently can cross brands. Yeah, so long as network is leaning on WWE to get the top stars on both shows, yeah.
I think that things will probably. I think what we'd probably see. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I think that we might see a situation where, if things, as you say, the soft dropping of the brand split, if that continues, which it probably will because they have way too many people to actually drop the brand split. Mm-hmm. That continues, I could see them maybe. I mean, 6 months from now, are they still going to be saying this person's over here thanks to the wild card rule? I think that it's. I mean, I don't put it past the WWE to keep on being stupid and ridiculous.
I don't know if they're going to keep saying
yelling
wild card
at it.
rule ad nauseum. They might just kind of drop reference to the wild card rule while having the wild card rule.
I think that's what we're going to get.
So they might not call it wild card rule, but the same principle will apply.
That's gonna be in perpetuity. I don't think they're gonna have a complete dropping of the brand split. I think that we're gonna have the wild card rule around. They're just not gonna call it that.
Yeah, but
they won't call it anything.
Effectively, be the wild card rule.
Yeah,
even if they don't name it as such or don't have a name applied to it.
Yeah, the bottom line is one way or the other, Roman Reigns is gonna be on both shows.
Yep,
probably every week.
Yep.
All right, Larson, what's our next question?
Next from Lost My Sanity. Take it away.
Steve Larson. My name is Lost My Sanity, and I am a new patron and first-time Matt Chatter. And I was wondering, commentary in the WWE can get downright frustrating and annoying. With Vince in their ears, things usually go downhill fast. So I was wondering, in your opinion, what is the worst thing that the commentary team says? Personally, I think it's when Michael Cole just screams out, "They just love having fun." Because who doesn't love having fun? Everybody loves having fun. And I also think it's doing the wrestlers a disservice, because I think that every wrestler in the WWE, at least to a certain extent, should be about competition, and putting them in that, or labeling them as "they just love having fun," makes them seem less serious than the rest. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Now it's up to you guys.
Thank you, Lost My Sanity.
Now you can find Lost My Sanity on YouTube.
Yes.
Obviously, that was a very slick.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
we get that guy to do some editing for us?
Hell
Because
yeah,
my
man.
God, that was awesome.
That was great.
That's like he's the successor to
Nonstop Player.
Nonstop Player. That's right. That was great. But anyways, his question was.
Something the commentary does that annoys you.
Oh man, probably just when it's so. So I mentioned this earlier. Like they're just overly corporate. Like some Michael Cole, who actually when he doesn't have Vince feeding him lines, and he's pretty good. Like if you watch him on what did he do? Like the UK tournament,
the first UK
No.
tournament with Nigel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The ant's back on the ceiling.
Oh really? Where's he at? Where?
The light's probably blocking.
Oh look at
See
that!
you.
Boy, he's quick.
Well, he's an ant.
Yeah. Look at that, man. Anyways. Yeah, when they make it so obvious that Vince is just like screaming in their ear, when they're not being natural, when they're using too many buzzwords like wild card rule, when yeah, all that stuff. When they're not having fun. I like when they're having fun out there. That's what bugs me.
When they just go on constant tangents during a match and don't bother trying to enhance the story being told in the ring. and you talked about Michael Cole, because on Raw on a regular basis, he'll call the action, but it's not necessarily to enhance the story being told in the ring. Whereas on that first United Kingdom tournament, when he was doing commentary with Nigel, who is an expert at that,
Yeah, he's great.
he actually facilitated the story being told. That doesn't really happen very often on Raw, I notice especially.
Yeah.
SmackDown's a little bit better.
Yeah.
But like NXT, 205 Live, pretty much anything Nigel's on, does it excellent. Just excellent. Where they're actually, it's reminiscent of New Japan commentary at their best. Because Kevin Kelly, and especially Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino, but now Don Callis, they all did an excellent job of enhancing the story being told in the ring. And more than anything, that's what I want from my announcers. And far too often, especially on Raw, they just don't do that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one.
Next from Cult of False Realities.
What's up, Steven Larson and all the friendos out there? Cult of False Realities here, back with another match chat question. Guys, it's been a couple weeks, and I still hate this 24/7 title. I know people might like it because of the comedy aspect, but we just got done watching Double or Nothing, which was like a 9 out of 10, damn near perfection show, and WWE needs to step it up. So my question is, should they have brought back a title, like the European title, light heavyweight title, something like that? Or should they have made a new title, instead of this 24/7 title, like a workhorse title where the stipulation is you have basically an open challenge every show. And you have to present it on every single show, like they said they were going to do with the 24/7 title, where it's going to be on Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT UK, NXT, all that stuff. And I guess I'll do a part 2 with this. Whoever decides that they should have brought back a title, what 3 titles should they have brought back? Too Sweet, Hearty Handshake. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Cult of False Realities.
Thank you. So I'm gonna say, you go first in this one.
Oh,
first
do
and
I?
Last one, yeah. I went first and last one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Championship belts don't really matter that much in WWE anymore, so no, 24/7 is
no,
fine.
really?
They don't really. How often have we said that we like a particular wrestler to be champion because they make the belt feel important? A lot.
Yeah.
Because this company doesn't treat belts as they're terribly important unless Brock Lesnar's holding it.
Yeah.
Far too often, championship belts aren't treated with any significance or any real importance.
I view them more as, and I don't know why I do this, but I think a lot of people do this. I view it as like, oh, that guy deserves some recognition.
Deserves the
Job
accolade.
well done.
Totally. Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, so no, I don't really. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. 24/7 belts. It's provided some entertainment, some comedy to the show, and it's one of the few instances on Raw and SmackDown that feels somewhat spontaneous and organic and somewhat alive. So I'll take that. Far too often, everything feels so structured and corporate and stale and sterile. Give me the spontaneity. I'm fine with that.
You know what's really annoying too is like going back to belts not meaning much. It's like, why are we supposed to care? Samoa Joe and the U.S. title, right? It's like nobody should be able to take that thing off him. People like above him in the pecking order should be afraid to come back down and see Samoa Joe there.
Lost by roll up.
But he loses this thing with his shoulders so far off the mat, and nobody says anything. Oh, big deal. His shoulder was like 3 feet off the mat.
The rest ruling stand or something.
And it's like, this is supposed to be a prestigious title.
Yeah, then nothing's treated
and
with
they
prestige.
Don't care. Like, it's like, oh, yes, oh, well, give it to Ray has it now.
Well,
so
now he's
sorry.
hurt, so he can just give it up.
So, I mean, those refs are so... Yeah. Make the damn thing mean something. As far as the 24/7 title, I thought SmackDown this week had a decent thing, how they like sort of dovetailed R-Truth's escape from Drake Maverick into the ring, and then they sort of put that into the A story. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, maybe I like the idea of the workhorse title. Something like that is kind of a cool idea. That was traditionally always supposed to be the IC title, and they just give it to Finn Balor because he probably should be like Universal Champion, but they're not going to do that.
Well, then he has it, and he hasn't been on TV in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and there's that too. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it shouldn't be as much of a comedy belt, but like you said, no, whatever.
It's like 24/7 titles. You know,
The idea of it,
spontaneity,
the idea of
energy.
the network title is cool. I like that idea. If they had not made this a comedy title and more of a this guy could actually show up anywhere, because we haven't seen any evidence of that.
No.
He's not. R-Truth is not going to NXT UK.
No.
If they put this title on somebody like Cassius Ohno, who's first in NXT, then he's on NXT UK, and then he had a repeat appearance for Kushida's debut on NXT, that right there is how you should treat a 24/7 title. It'd be like the network title like we've talked about. So if it was anything else, I'd say it's that.
Yeah. Next from Andy Nero.
Hey Friendos, hey Stephen Larson, it's Nero here with a Match Chat question. This week's one is regarding Double or Nothing, and specifically Puck. Do you think Puck should have just done the job? I mean, Double or Nothing was a huge success, all told. Great show, fantastic show. And personally, I think he should have just done the job. I mean, we'll see. What would he have lost? To me, he came off as a bit of a difficult worker, rather than it being AEW's fault. I thought it was Puck's fault, but that's my take. Anyway, take care, friendos. Tell me what you think. Bye.
Thank you,
Andy Nero.
Andy Nero. Now it's your turn to go first.
Sure. I don't know that he should. Okay, I'll say this. He shouldn't have done the job, because I totally understand. But they should have figured out a way to get him the damn match. He should have been there to have a match, to do something. Look, we had the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers, clean finish. Jericho Omega, clean finish. Cody Dustin, clean finish. Women's Fatal 4-Way, clean finish. Joshi, we had all these clean finishes.
Yeah, that's what they want.
You can allow one scrub finish.
Not what they wanted, man. It's not what they wanted.
Okay, I'm just saying I would have been okay with, as a wrestling fan, for me, I would have been okay with it. That's totally fine. I understand, as a wrestling fan, Pac doesn't want to look bad because he's got that title, which he covets, which is great. But you saw how hard we marked out for the idea of seeing Pac and Hangman. Now, that being said, nobody was complaining about Double or Nothing. It was a fantastic show. Nobody thought it was lacking anything. However, yeah, if given the opportunity, I haven't watched that Pac Hangman match. I'm sure it's great. Would have loved to have seen it live. So, yes, I think that he should have been there. Should he have done the job? No, not necessarily. You don't have to do that. It's wrestling. There's a million different ways you can get out of having anybody look bad. Figure it out. My goodness. Talk about needing to loosen your belt a little bit.
Well, they couldn't figure it out, so they probably did the best thing they could and just not have the match. It was clumsy how it was executed, but the end result was worthwhile. We have Hangman Page taking on Chris Jericho for that title.
Yeah.
And it all worked out in the end.
Well, yeah, I still would have.
I would have liked to have seen Pac too.
Yeah,
but well, I mean, he seems like a very particular individual. He knows what he wants, and
well, he's a bastard.
He is a bastard. And so if he, while holding that Dragon Gate title, does not want to take any pinfall losses, then I guess that's his prerogative. The only issue I have with
tell them in advance, and they won't.
That's the only issue I have with the whole thing is this should all have been worked out before any matches were announced.
Yeah.
And I don't put that on Pac's feet, because if he was up front with that at any point during negotiations,
I don't know. Nobody knows what happened.
Yeah, no,
Meltzer
exactly.
Talk so many circles.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But that all should have been worked out in advance before any matches were announced. And if he's not in a position to take any pinfall losses, then yes, you have to work something else out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily have a beef with him not doing the job. I mean, he's got his brand he's trying to build. So if he feels like he has to protect his brand while he's got that title, and that's
good for him.
That's what he's got to do.
Just don't try to sell me a ticket based on him being there.
Next, got a question from Tanner.
What's up, Stephen Larson? I just discovered time travel, and I'm bringing Prime Bobby Heenan to the future. Who is his new Heenan family?
Thank you, Tanner.
Thank you,
That's
Tanner.
what I got. So in my mind, you need...
All right, well, first off, Larson, please define for the people the Heenan family.
Heenan family is a long-running faction that had a lot of turnover.
It did.
Throughout the 80s.
It did.
Led by Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah.
And there were countless iterations of it. I think Big John Studd, Andre the Giant, Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect. I can go on and on. Members of the Heenan family are endless. There's a lot of turnover. Look at that.
So, okay, just alone the WWF version, per the WWE Encyclopedia, thanks to Wikipedia, Adrian Adonis, of course, Andre the Giant, the Barbarian, Big John Studd, the Brainbusters, who was Arn and Tully, Buddy Rose, the Brooklyn Brawler, the Colossal Connection, Harley Race, Hercules, the Islanders, Ken Patera, King Kong Bundy, the Missing Link, Mr. Perfect, Paul Orndorff, the Red Rooster, Ric Flair, Rick Rude, and CV Offie.
So I'm going to approach the construction of this version of the Heenan family like we typically construct factions here in the show. You need a main eventer, a tag team, and one, if not two, mid-carders. Main eventer, Bob Lashley.
Okay.
I think he would do wonders with under Bob Heenan's tutelage.
Yeah.
Tag team, this makes all sense in the world. It's got to be the Revival.
Yeah, that's
Old
good.
school guy like Bob Heenan with the Revival. Match made in heaven. Mid-card monster, Lars Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the skits and vignettes they can do between Bobby Heenan and Lars Sullivan would have been great.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Dana Brooke.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Dana Brooke.
All right.
By all accounts, she's been putting a lot of work into
Yeah.
enhancing her skills. Like to see that rewarded by being a member of New Heenan family.
Okay. All right. That's good. Where's my answer? Oh, here we go. This is what I got. I got Rob Roode. Man, that dude should not be hanging out at a block party. Let me tell you that much. He should be wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So first, Rob Roode. A couple of guys that they aren't doing anything with right now, which is interesting because they're the tag champions. Give me Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I feel like those guys need to get out of cartoon clown limbo and put on a serious face, man. I think they could be really good. I'm going to throw the Iconics in there. It's a new age, man. We've got a women's tag division. Let's put the Iconics in there. And then lastly, could you imagine, Larson, could you imagine the comedic exploits of one Bobby the Brain Heenan and Baron Corbin?
Yeah, I thought about Baron too.
That would be, he's kind of a Mr. Perfect type, maybe, snarky heel guy. Thinks his S doesn't stink. He calls everybody the favorite son. Might not be the worker Mr. Perfect is, but I could see a little bit of a crossover there.
No, I don't feel like Baron's the athletic wonder that Mr. Perfect swore he was, just based on his Titantron.
You do realize, of course, that was all
real. Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. I won't spoil it for you, though.
Please, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. Next from Rich, take it away, Rich.
Rich and his babies.
Hey, Friendos. Rich the Smash Bro here with Little Friendos. That is Michaela. And you guys already know Chase. Anyway, we have a little bit of a debate for you guys. We want you to pick one and, kind of laugh about the rest. But we had an idea for funny moments. I wanted to know what was your funniest Big E moment about him coming out and doing his crazy stuff. Michaela has an input and so does Chase.
Alright, I say the funniest moment is when Titus tripped underneath the ring.
John Cena. WrestleMania.
When John Cena embarrassed Elias at WrestleMania 35.
So we want your thoughts on that. This is, her first Mad Chat question, his second. You'll be seeing more of them. But take care, friendos. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye, Steven Larson.
Later, dudes.
Thank you, Rich.
I will go first this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, dude, there's been so many funny bits. Edge and Christian. I really loved Edge and Christian's silliness. And then with Kurt Angle. I would have to say, though, my favorite comedian in the WWE, like Rock is a close second. My number one is Steve Austin. His heel run when he got in the goofy stuff, singing Kumbaya, and then that hug he gave McMahon, and he was just staring and smiling.
That was great.
Oh, that was terrific. I'm going to say Steve Austin's heel turn and that run of his.
The beer truck was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was
great.
Wildly entertaining, pretty
awesome.
funny. New Day's done a lot of stuff that really cracked me up. That time machine bit they had, remember that?
Yeah, that was pretty
good.
funny.
That was good.
I like the first rap battle.
Yeah, that was really good too.
That was really good. Yeah.
Both the rap battles were pretty good.
They were both pretty good, but that first one, honestly, a lot of that's on the Usos. That writing for the Usos.
Oh, it was so good.
Rated R like your boy Woods.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I'm going to say those. But honestly, every time The Rock would be on camera saying stuff, I'd be laughing the entire time, like back in the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho in WCW.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Was a crack up.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
Yep.
He was great.
Yep.
For unintentional comedy, though, you have to go to the living legend himself, Larry Zbyszko.
He's in the wall,
dude. Unintentional comedy. He was the king of it, right? Was there anybody else? Warrior, maybe?
Well, maybe.
Maybe Warrior?
Maybe.
One of the funniest things WWE's ever produced is that first Warrior DVD. That thing is hilarious.
Like an hour and a half official shoot interview.
Oh, man, it's great.
Next from the B-Man, Patrick Sparks.
Hey, friendos, Pat here. All right, question this week is kind of an obscure one, but fun one. Brawl for All, only with owners/bookers of companies. I'm talking territory days, I'm talking now. So, Brawl for All with Vince, Tony Khan, Eric Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett, Jim Hurd, Jim Cornette, Bill Watts, I don't know, whoever you can think of, Gato, Brawl for All, bookers, owners, book it, have fun.
Thank you, B-Man.
Thank you, B-Man. All right, so you probably have the right answer here. This guy was a freaking dominant MMA fighter. So go ahead.
Oh, Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
He was one of the founders of Pancrase.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, he's, in my opinion, the greatest combat sports athlete of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether it be wrestling or MMA. Yes, Minoru Suzuki.
Okay, so wait a second. Pancrase.
It's pro wrestling style mixed martial arts.
Are you going to call that a pro wrestling promotion, though?
That's not that's a Brawl for All for promoters and bookers. That was his question. He didn't say it had to be pro wrestling promoters or bookers.
Yeah, but I mean, then you can extend into MMA in total.
But
and just find any MMA guy out there.
But before Pancrase, Minoru Suzuki was a pro wrestler, and afterwards he was a pro wrestler.
Was he a booker for those places?
No, but he wasn't Pancrase. He was a promoter. He was one of the founders of the company.
Pancrase is like legit fighting, though, right?
But it's pro wrestling style fighting. Yeah, it's a hybrid thing.
Okay.
Look at their logo. It says like hybrid fight sports or something on it.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, pro wrestling is like fake. Pancrase wasn't fake.
It's choreographed.
Like the thing that really delineates the two is one's real, one's fake.
One's choreographed, one's not yet.
All right, that's fine. That's a good answer. There was a couple. I went with Antonio Inoki.
That's a good answer.
Remember that time he beat up that fat guy?
Yeah, that wouldn't sell for him. Yeah, he kicked him to unconsciousness. Yeah.
And then what did he do in his match with Muhammad Ali?
Oh, he laid on the mat and kicked.
Yeah, he busted up Muhammad Ali's legs. Man, that was my pick right there.
Inoki versus Suzuki bout would be, with MMA rules would be something else.
Well, Minoru Suzuki would have destroyed him probably.
Probably.
Didn't Suzuki beat like
Ken
Shamrock?
I think he beat Dan Severn too.
And Dan Severn?
Yeah, man.
Oh boy, that's terrifying. That being said, I think he cheated there. He's not a booker of a actual pro wrestling promotion.
Pro wrestling MMA. You gotta update. You gotta learn about the Pancrase, man.
It's like, yeah, I'm an owner of a baseball football team. A what? It's baseball football.
Well, it'll be more like a wiffle ball baseball team.
Wiffle ball baseball. Well, which one is it?
Hybrid wrestling. That's what it's called, Steve.
Are any of the matches in there kayfabe?
No.
Okay,
but if you're utilizing wrestling holds, then it is somewhat wrestling, and they're doing it professionally. Therefore, pro wrestling. Next, Ryan Rugani.
Do you think that if they give a best of 7 series to Cesaro and Ricochet, I'd even be open to putting them as a tag team because him and Tyson Kidd were so good together. Imagine the matches with the Revival or the Usos and Ricochet and Cesaro as a tag team. What do you guys think? Let me know.
Thank you, Ryan Rugani.
Thank you, Ryan Rugani.
Go ahead.
No, they should not form a tag team. Look, they'd be terrific with whatever they do. They're amazing. But Ricochet is, I want a singles competitor from Ricochet. I am not going to rest until Cesaro and what's the other guy? Cassius Ohno. Until they are a tag team.
Kings of Pro Wrestling.
The Kings of Pro Wrestling is what I want to see. Damn it. They have all these amazing lineups that they could be putting together. Bullet Club, Kings of Pro Wrestling. Probably, well, no, they don't have James Storm. They can't do beer money. But, all sorts of great combinations they could be making out of people. Mm-hmm. And that would pop the fans.
Yep.
And they're not doing them.
Nope.
Give me the Kings of Pro Wrestling or nothing. You want to know what I want? I want Apollo Crews and Ricochet. Maybe them because they're friends. I know that.
Yeah.
They're buddies. And then bring Moose in.
And Akira Tozawa. They're all friends.
Oh, yeah, and Akira. Yeah, they're all friends. Make
the four of them make a faction, yes. So I'll agree with you. No tag team, but he mentions the best of 7 between Cesaro and Ricochet, and I'd be on board with that.
Yay, completely yay on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Next question from Zenith64.
Salutations, friendo. So, question of the week is, if the stars aligned and everything went well in the future, in 20 to 25 years, let's just say the Miz's daughter and Daniel Bryan's daughter, they both became respected wrestlers. How would you book their feud, and how would you get both dads involved? Because the Miz and Daniel Bryan, they're both really great rivals, and they both had a really great feud. So how would you book a daughter and father versus daughter and father feud that would actually be booked really well in the future? Yeah, just got me thinking. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Xena64.
Thank you.
So in my mind, like Daniel Bryan and The Miz, paths don't cross ever again. Fast forward 20 years in the future, and The Miz comes down to the ring with his daughter Monroe, or The Miz just by himself and says, I'm retired, but there's one nagging thing in my mind that I never got to do, to prove to the world and Daniel Bryan that I was right about him this whole time. He says, I can't wrestle anymore, but my daughter can. Bring in Monroe Miz. She comes down the ring, and they call out Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan brings Birdie with him. There's a stare down between Birdie and Monroe. Meanwhile, Daniel Bryan tries to stretch The Miz. He puts him in the label lock.
The sad thing is, in 20 years, these guys are still going to look amazing.
Probably.
They're still going to look great. Here's what I want. I want to fast forward to like 40 years from now.
All right.
When they're super duper old and are probably still in amazing shape.
Yeah, I know.
People just live forever these days. It's crazy. But how about this?
You can live pretty long. You take care of yourself.
This is the story I really want. I want Birdie and Monroe to be one of the most dominant women's tag teams of all time. They are multi-time champions. They are inseparable. They are like the definition of tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But their dads just don't get along.
Yeah.
Every time they have this big event, they're both there and they just start bickering. And that's the only way they ever lose their titles, is because their dads are bickering and it distracts them.
And to get to the point where they choose between their team or their family.
Exactly.
There you go. That's good too. Next from Thayer Thabata.
Thayer Thabata.
I'm doing this just for you, Larson. A Minoru Suzuki question. Who, at the end of the day, who will have a better career? Have had a better career? Minoru Suzuki or Ric Flair? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Thayer Thabata.
Go ahead.
So, okay, I'll add this. I don't really know because I'm not enmeshed in the culture, what Minoru Suzuki's legacy is in Japan beyond what I simply see on TV, and it seems to be a fairly strong one, but I'm not sure it's as iconic necessarily in pro wrestling as Ric Flair's, which is more definitive because he's much older and he's retired now. So I mean, I'm gonna say Flair. Everybody considers him one of the greatest in-ring workers of all time. They consider him one of the great talkers of all time. So I'm gonna go with Ric Flair, but I'm also kind of ignorant in terms of just what Suzuki's impact is in pro wrestling in Japan.
Strictly pro wrestling, then yeah, you probably got to say Ric Flair. If you're talking combat sports, anything that involves real or choreographed fighting, then Minoru Suzuki's influence is vast.
Yeah, I don't recall Flair ever participating in any like shoot tournaments.
No. Whereas Minoru Suzuki has won shoot tournaments.
The biggest thing, though,
defeated some of the top names in MMA history.
The biggest thing in terms of legacy, though, is which of these men have fought
giant monsters in a movie, and that's Minoru Suzuki.
That's Minoru Suzuki.
So advantage Minoru. He's also defeated a robot. Ric Flair never did that.
RoboCop.
Did he defeat him though?
Well, the Horsemen still stand.
So I guess not. I guess RoboCop went down on his back in that case, huh?
Yeah, man.
Another advantage for Suzuki. Next, got a question from AO Worm.
What's good, everybody? AO Worm here. Another match chat question coming to you from Albert Miguel. Thank you very much for the question. All right, guys. So I believe it's Beer Fest going on right now. So I want you guys to pick a 5-man team, one from WWE, one from AEW, to compete in a 5 versus 5 beer drinking contest from the boot. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, guys, take it easy. Too sweet, hearty handshake.
Thank you, AO Worm.
Thank you, AO
So that's what I got for Team WB. Reigns. A lot of time he talked about how he likes himself some cold beer.
Yeah, he's Chill Roman. Yeah.
Chill Roman. Give himself a Corona or two.
Okay.
Brock.
Okay.
I'm feeling like he enjoys a beer from time to time.
Yeah. But whatever is not the beer being advertised by the promotion he's in.
Oh, yeah. Remember, what do you like, Coors Light or Bud Light?
I think he was going to drink some Bud Light because Miller Lite was the sponsor.
Yeah. Doc Gallows.
It's all pissed, though.
Doc Gallows.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like he enjoys himself a brewski, and then Heavy Machinery.
They definitely do.
Oh, yeah.
They have to.
Team All Elite Wrestling, Joey Janela.
Sure.
Jimmy Havoc.
Oh, definitely.
Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Chuck Taylor.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I'm not sure about Christopher Daniels.
I would be surprised.
I don't know.
I didn't see him drinking at that party at all.
Then again, I saw him on stage once.
Yeah, that's true, too. I'm going to go with this, of course, co-leader of Beer Money, Rob Roode.
Yeah.
I feel like Connor is a drinker.
Could be.
He has drinker body. Trent Seven, definitely a drinker.
Yeah,
you
he
can
likes
see that.
He likes to have a pint or two. Yes.
Walter.
Yeah, probably.
How are you not? I mean, come on, he's German. And then Braun Strowman, you made a good point here. Maybe
he's a body guy now.
Maybe not, but I'm not sure he had to give up beer necessarily for that.
I don't know, man. Booze is one of the things that keeps you from getting cut.
I like my AEW picks for beer drinkers. Luchasaurus.
He's pretty jacked now too. Like his definition, his midsection might preclude him from drinking too much.
Maybe, but also he's a monster, so he can
entirely possible
powers of whatever Luchasaurus. Yeah. Cody.
Yeah, I almost included Cody.
I know he's a drinker.
Yeah.
He was on Jericho's podcast, I think, drunk, or he had drinking stories. Pentagon. There's no. He's kind of round. I think that he could totally be a drinker.
Totally.
Cerveza, por favor. Mox.
Yeah.
Definitely Mox.
He enjoys himself a beer from time to time.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then Awesome Kong. She seems like, man, I'd love to have a beer with her and
Hell
talk
yeah,
stories.
Man. Hell yeah.
That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
Good crew.
Yes. Both
right.
Good squads. Yes.
Next up, the returning Renegade Soul. Let's see what he has to say.
So we see this wrestling warfare going on with AEW and WWE. And that reminds me of another iconic rivalry in cinematic history. That being the Rebel Alliance and the Imperial Forces. I want you to make a case and fantasy book some roles for each of the respective camps. Too sweet? Party handshake? Rock on? Peace out.
Thank you,
Renegade Soul.
Renegade, and welcome back.
Yes, welcome. This is what I got.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback on your answers.
Of course, the WWE would be the Empire, and so obviously Vince would be Emperor Palpatine.
Sure.
Which would of course make Triple H Vader.
Yeah.
Someone who's been sucked into the dark side, however, still has some good in him, as we see with NXT. And then Grand Moff Tarkin is gonna be played by Kevin Dunn.
Ew.
Over on the All Elite side, of course, they're the Rebellion.
Yeah, of course.
Luke will be played by Hangman Page.
That's perfect.
Han Solo, John Moxley.
Okay.
Princess Leia will be Britt Baker.
Okay.
And then Chewbacca be portrayed by Luchasaurus.
That makes perfect sense.
Am I missing anybody from the main group of characters?
Admiral Akbar.
Tommy
Dreamer.
Well, he's not really a full-time member of the AEW roster.
He doesn't have to be, man. He's supportive. He'll be there. He's sort of the old veteran.
Who should be R2-D2 and C-3PO?
Best friends.
Good.
It's totally best friends.
Yeah. Who should Kenny be?
What about, did you do Obi-Wan?
No.
Tommy Dreamer.
That's better, yeah. Or DDP.
or Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes is good.
Yeah.
What about Kenny? Who's Kenny going to be?
Kenny would be, isn't he Lando?
Do need a Lando.
Yeah, Lando. Kenny could be Lando. I have a good deal here with the Empire. You son of a bitch.
What about Boba Fett? Who'd be Boba Fett in WWE?
Boba Fett in WWE. Well, Boba Fett, he's not part of the Empire. He's
I know,
a hired hand.
He's a hired hand.
So you have to go outside WWE and outside AEW. He's
someone who, but could be brought in as a freelancer from time to time.
Boba Fett. Oh crap! I don't know.
Brock should be Boba Fett. He's a mercenary.
Oh my God, that's perfect. Yeah,
Brock's
good
Boba
job.
Fett.
Yeah.
Last one. Text question from Luis Ariza. He says, "Would the wrestling landscape be different if Dusty was still with us? Maybe he could have convinced Cody to stay and prevent him from going to the Indies, hence delaying All Elite Wrestling, or had some creative influence on Maine and not let Vince control everything." From my understanding, Dusty was a coach in NXT.
True.
At the time of his passing.
True.
What year did he pass away? Do you recall? Was it after Cody had already left? Because Cody left in 2016, right?
He left 3 years ago.
May
almost.
of 2016. Yeah. So no, it was 2015 when he passed away.
Okay.
So, I honestly don't know. In one sense, I could see if Cody was frustrated that Dusty would be, because Dusty had a fairly entrepreneurial spirit, I believe. Like, and if Cody was like, I'm not happy here. I don't feel like they're utilizing me to my fullest. I want out. I feel like, granted, I don't know the man, never knew the man.
I think he has spoken on it. I don't remember what he said, but I'm pretty sure, I thought I remember him mentioning, something about his dad and how he feels he might have felt about his asking for his release. I don't recall it off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think, I'll put it this way. I don't think that, I don't know. Maybe he would be different. I mean, if Cody never leaves, none of this happens.
Nope.
None of this happens.
Nope.
So,
but I don't think Dusty, if he were still around, would have much of any influence on how Vince controls everything on the main roster now. Because I don't.
Oh God, no.
He wasn't even around on the main roster at the time of his passing. So
I think WWE would be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the only question is, if AEW ends up making any sort of impact with how WWE does things, which is possible, it's for sure possible, then Cody leaving could be a big deal.
He really could be.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Dusty would play into all that. I don't know.
So yeah, anyways, thanks everybody for your questions. You too can be on Matt Chat at patreon.com/Stephen Larson. $20 a month gets you there. And we'd love to see your video questions. And if not, just keep on enjoying the show. Tell your friends. And thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.